You know, we're talking a lot today about, I hate to say it again, the P word, programmatic. I mean, I guess I like to say like super targeted, super automated buying of advertising. Yeah. Xaxis is like the data division in your parent company. Do you even use the P word? Do you think there's a communication problem around that?
Yes, I do. I think the language that we've created for our industry is very difficult for most brands to comprehend. And I mean, if we take a step back, you know, the marketers and the clients that we talk to, you know, fundamentally, their problems haven't changed. You know, in whatever hundreds and thousands of years of marketing, you know, the actual fundamental underlying problem that they're trying to solve hasn't changed. You know, they are trying to sell something to another person, you know, whether that be through engagement or whatever, right? Ultimately, it's about eliciting some sort of response out of someone to build a business. And so fundamentally, it's always been about people. You know, marketers think about people, you know, and the whole language that we've created around our industry, as a few people have said today very correctly, sort of assumes a diminishing role for people, and not just in terms of the execution of campaigns, but almost in terms of, you know, a sort of coding of the people that we're trying to market to, almost as if they can be understood by more data. And so, you know, the term big data I hate for that reason. You know, and I think big data has almost become an end in its own right, where, you know, I'm successful as a marketer because I'm collecting more data. And we were saying before, and I think quite rightly, that there seems to be an obsession with a certain type of data, which is the what data. What are people clicking on? What are people doing? Which again dehumanizes the entire marketing process. And I think a lot of the technologies that we have available to us, which are really just, you know, ways of us to execute campaigns, should be irrelevant to most marketers, except to the extent they take an interest in what we do, right? But I mean, I've never received a brief from any client that says, buy me something using RTB, you know, any more than I've received a brief from a client that says, use an IO, please. Right? That's not how they brief us. They brief us with, you know, outcomes they need to achieve. They brief us with metrics they're trying to move, or with audiences they're trying to reach. And I think, you know, as an industry, if we want to grow the role of these technologies, we need to continue to talk to marketers in the language that they want to talk to us in.
So, I mean, what's the place for video in that? Would you even more say there isn't a role for that P word when it comes to video, because video isn't necessarily a more up-funnel branding mechanism than any of the others?
Quite to the contrary. I think it's a huge role. So I think the idea of again, and you know, programmatically executing, right, inventory and the process efficiencies that come from that, and the ability to use the right data, the relevant data, not necessarily big data, but the right and the relevant data to target an audience that a marketer is interested in for various reasons. You know, the role of technology there is fundamental, and that is transformative to the way that the buy side and the sell side, in terms of the background, are working together. And you know, the opportunity is just as big, if not, I think, actually bigger at the top of the funnel, where we're talking about video and sort of branding or prospecting type campaigns and outcomes, as it is at the bottom of the funnel. The data that exists at the top of the funnel is much more interesting. You know, retargeting is, I mean, it's kind of boring, right? You know, the demographic data, the combination of emotional data with, you know, what people are doing, the idea of taking an understanding of why people are doing things rather than just what they're doing, is very, very exciting.
What's the future of retargeting? So, you know, many consumers are becoming accustomed to the ad that follows them around the web because of the search patterns that they have. And yet they make that purchase for that category of product they've searched for, the ad still follows them around. Can e-commerce data sort of close that loop?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think a big problem that retargeting has. So first of all, retargeting does work, which is why people invest so much money in it. You know, and a lot of the reason it works is just because it's, you know, being thrown, sort of, even with retargeting, it's throwing a lot of inventory against the wall, seeing what sticks. So, you know, I think I think that's the worst part of our industry in a lot of ways. You know, the poorly executed, badly frequency capped ad that continues to follow you around, sort of a weird carousel, which is creatively painful. As a consumer, and surely I have to think as a brand as well. And you know, again, one of the areas where I think data can play a very interesting role, but again, we have to think about data much more holistically than just, what data, but in terms of the emotional and the why data, is with creatives. We did a quick study with some of the creatives within WPP, and if you ask them about what's important in their industry, do you know how many of them talk about data and programmatic and any of those sorts of things, RTB? And none of them. They talk about storytelling, and they talk about creativity, and they talk about engagement and the ability to sort of literally storytell. And there's an incredible opportunity for data, including a retargeting element, to tell a story. Someone's seen a video. Well, maybe next you don't show them an ad, but you show them a different video, or a behind the scenes of the movie that they've just seen the trailer for, or something. Sort of the sequential targeting, again, the storytelling. When we talk to our creatives at WPP about that, first of all, few of them are aware it exists, or they're even able to do it, and secondly, they get very, very excited about it.